Introduction and purpose. This procedure is to outline the flow of activities for managing a turnkey event project undertaken by ARENA's project management team. Application and scope. This standard operating procedure defines the procedures including the responsibilities, internal controls, and authorizations for managing a turnkey event project in U.A. E or K.S. A through the various stages of project initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and closing. The procedures defined in this document is aimed at providing guidance to the project management team in the operations department, which may include full-time employees as well as contract staff or freelancers, and who will be involved in delivering turnkey events, projects in U.A. E or K.S.A. Glossary of terms. Change requests are the formal requests to change the project management plan baseline. Approved change requests are the documented authorized changes to expand or reduce project scope, and may also modify the project management plan, costs, budgets, or revise schedules. Dismantling schedule is the listing of activities and timelines required for the careful deconstruction of building components for clearing the site and returning the rental inventories to the warehouse or supplier. Method statements are HSE documentation used as a means of controlling specific health and safety risks that have been identified, such as lifting operations, demolition or dismantling, working at height, installing equipment, the use of plant, and so on. Project build schedule lists a project's milestones, activities, and deliverables, usually with intended start and finish dates. Those items are often estimated using other information in the project schedule, such as resource allocation, budget, task duration, and linkages of dependencies and scheduled events. Resource scheduling is a collection of techniques used to calculate the resources required to deliver the work and when they will be required. Risk assessments are the HSE documentation that includes identifies, analyses, and recording health and safety risks to which employees and others are exposed on construction sites. Site induction is the process of ensuring workers on construction sites are fully informed about the organization and operation of the site and their responsibilities. Stakeholders are the members who have an actual stake in the outcome of the project. They may be internal to the project, as well as external to the project. Key activities. This procedure includes key activities that are described in detail in the following pages. Provide event bid support. The head of operations and projects is responsible for providing the necessary operations support to the account management team in winning project bids or proposals. Support provided by the operations department during the preliminary or pre-project stage include conducting site visits and capturing site-specific requirements, providing operational inputs, including CAPEX requirements and availability of team or resources for assessing project feasibility, briefing the design team and ensuring the alignment of concept design deliverables with operations requirements, and providing the estimation team with input for the preparation and review of bid estimates. If a site visit is required, the account manager requests the head of operations or the projects director to allocate a project manager to conduct the site visit. The PM coordinates with the account manager to visit the site and documents all site-specific and operational requirements accurately and in detail in the project brief. The project brief is updated with operations requirements submitted to the account manager and saved in the client folder for future reference. Establish event project team. The head of operations or projects is responsible for establishing the project team once a project order confirmation email is received from the account manager. The head of operations or projects director assigns a project manager for the job, if not allotted already, and informs the head of operations. Hiring of freelancers for the project must comply with the guidelines furnished in the HR policy. The head of operations or projects informs the account manager once the project team is established. Accept event project ownership. The account manager arranges the project kickoff meeting to hand over the project ownership to the PM and team. If an advance payment is agreed in the client's contract, the account manager should schedule the kickoff meeting only after the advance payment is received. In case the payment is not received, formal approval from the regional CEO is required. The head of operations or projects and the project manager, PM, should be informed about such approvals, if applicable, and the payment status. The PM receives all project-related assets, including, if applicable, the approved final design, material schedule, approved bill of quantities, and the bill of materials, once the PM takes ownership of the project. The PM confirms that the designs received are frozen or finalized and approved prior to commencing production or procurement. During the project kickoff meeting, the PM will introduce the project team, confirm the scope of work, including requirements and timeline, review the project budget, required approvals, funding, and payments, highlight any risks and issues, and provide feedback. The PM is responsible for ensuring that any risks, gaps, or issues associated with the project are highlighted and escalated to the head of operations or project's director and account manager for redress prior to the commencement of project operations. Develop build schedule. The PM is responsible for planning the project schedule according to the requirements of the project. The PM works closely with project team members to develop comprehensive project schedules adapted for project-specific resources, budgets, and timeframes. The PM works with all key project team members, including the project coordinator, production manager, and the project in charge for scaffolding, FF&E, structures, graphics, and MEP works, to develop the project build schedule. If an internal production facility is available, the PM aligns with the project coordinator and the production manager to confirm internal production capacity and capture the production schedule. This schedule is used as an input to develop the project build schedule. If an internal production facility is not available, the PM aligns with the interiors manager to identify external suppliers to outsource the scope of work. The project coordinator, in such cases, collaborates with the suppliers to get the required inputs for the PM to develop the build schedule. Details of managing interiors related scope of work are covered in OP08 fit-out management procedure. Once the project build schedule is completed, the PM shares the schedule along with the relevant project assets with the project team to initiate scaffolding, structures, MEP interiors, FF&E, graphics, and production order management processes depending on the project. The procedures for managing project structures, interiors, FF&E, graphics, and production scope of work are defined in separate operating procedures. Develop safety documentation. The PM aligns with the QHSE officer to develop all safety documentation required for the project, including any risk assessment and method statements. The PM reviews and approves the completed risk assessment and method statements. The QHSE officer submits the approved risk assessment and method statements for any client approval, if required. Plan project resourcing. The PM estimates, captures, and consolidates all procurement requirements that are to be sourced from external suppliers, including any requirements for plant, crew, and transportation, based on the project schedule. Once plant and crew requirements are estimated, the PM requests the operations planner to allocate these resources for the project. The PM aligns with the warehouse manager to plan kit delivery. Transportation required for delivery is estimated and arranged by the warehouse manager. If suppliers are not available, the project manager supports the procurement manager in evaluating and selecting appropriate suppliers. If required, the account manager, interiors manager, structures manager, or other relevant stakeholders may support the PM in procurement in supplier assessment and selection. Arrange crew and plant. The operations planner works with the project manager during the project planning and execution stages to plan and arrange project crew and plant requirements. During the planning stage, the project manager forecasts the crew and plant requirements based on the project build schedule. The operations planner supports the project manager in forecasting these requirements. The operations planner uses the forecast to allocate resources that are available internally or arrange resources from external sources if there is a shortage in internal supply. For arranging internal crew, the operations planner works closely with the structures manager and interiors manager to allocate crew. For arranging external crew and plant, the operations planner aligns with the PM to prepare an accrual purchase request and issues this request to the procurement team. This request can be amended based on the actual usage of plant and crew resources. If no suppliers are available, the operations planner supports the procurement team in selecting an appropriate plant and crew supplier. Selection and procurement of external resources must be done in compliance with ARENA's procurement procedures. For internal crew arriving from outside the country, the structures and interiors manager will request the head of HR and procurement to arrange the visa, flights, accommodation, and local transportation of the crew. During the project execution stage, The operations planner coordinates with the project manager daily to capture and allocate site plant and crew requirements. Planning and allocation of these resources is communicated to the project manager and the operations team through the daily plan document. These documents serve as a communication tool to update all project managers, project crew, and the operations management team about the daily status of resource allocation. The operations planner, who is preparing this document, should aim to summarize and include the following details in the plan: any common information applicable for all project team members, a list of projects, including name, location, and project manager, for which resources are allocated, details of crew allocated for each project, including any specific instructions such as on-site time, details of tasks and expectations, and details of any additional resources arranged. The operations admin reviews and consolidates the workers' timesheets to prepare the overtime report based on payroll procedures. The timesheets are prepared by the supervisors and approved by the relevant department heads, including structures, MEP, and the project manager. Once approved, the overtime report is issued to HR for payroll processing. For external resources, the operations admin receives and reviews supplier crew timesheets on a weekly basis to adjust manpower estimates for any shortages or surplus. The accrual purchase request is amended for these variations, approved by the project manager, and issued to the procurement manager. Initiate project procurement. Project procurement and production can commence only once the design team declares the design freeze stage for the designs and all client payment obligations are completed. The PM confirms that the designs received are frozen or finalized and approved prior to commencing production or procurement. Any requests to update the design after the design freeze stage will be considered a variation request by the design team. Project procurement or production activities can be initiated only once any agreed financial commitments are cleared by the client or there is formal approval from the regional CEO to proceed with mobilization without agreed payment. The PM requests the operations administrator to prepare the purchase request in the ERP for all project-related procurement requirements and issue it to the procurement team for processing. The PM aligns with the procurement manager to ensure that all purchase orders are issued to the selected suppliers. Confirm production status. The PM aligns with the project coordinator to confirm the status of the items in production. This scope of work could be delivered by the in-house production team or by an external supplier. If required, the project manager and the project coordinator visit the production facility to assess the quality of items in production and confirm that the items comply with the agreed specifications. Prepare for site mobilization. Prior to mobilizing the team to the site, the PM reviews the project cash flow status, obtains required petty cash, and clarifies and confirms project-specific requirements with the project team. The PM coordinates all site-specific HSE permits and approvals with the QHSE officer. The PM reviews and approves the project cash flow status with the quantity surveyor. The approved project cash flow statement is issued to the procurement manager and the finance director. For allocation of the petty cash fund for the project, the PM submits the petty cash fund request to the accounts payable accountant after getting the approval from the project director or head of operations or projects. Petty cash is allocated following the guidelines in the petty cash procedure. The PM will be the custodian of the petty cash fund allocated for the project. The PM arranges a site mobilization and clarification session, inviting all key members of the project team prior to moving to the site. During the session, the PM confirms site-specific requirements, confirms the build schedule, confirms manpower availability, confirms the status of items in production, and confirms that all approvals and HSE permits for site work are obtained. Startup site. Once the site is open for installation works, the PM takes charge of the site and coordinates the preparation of the site for installation activities. Site preparation activities include clearing and marking the site, setting up any site facilities, and arranging site services and access to the site. The PM conducts site inspection and marking with the client. Details are captured in the site handover or handback report that is acknowledged by the client or a client representative. Assessment of site safety requirements should be done by the safety officer and the PM together with the QHSE officer before starting any project. This is to confirm our health and safety preparedness at work. The PM arranges the provision of site facilities, including any site offices, security arrangements, toilets, and designated storage areas, depending on the project requirements. Temporary site services such as electricity and water supply are also arranged by the PM. Manage Site HSE. The PM is responsible for ensuring that all works on the site are conducted in compliance with the local safety regulations as well as the safety standards defined by ARENA. The PM coordinates site health, safety and environmental activities with the QHSE officer. Prior to commencing the build, the PM and the QHSE officer jointly check the site safety to assess the health and safety preparedness at work. Site Safety Requirements Assessment Form can be used for this purpose. Site crew should be provided with appropriate supervision, instructions, and information so that installation works can be carried out, so far as is reasonably practicable, without risks to health and safety. The PM should ensure that the following site health, safety, and environmental activities are conducted depending on the project: risk assessment and method statements, site induction activities, routine safety inspections, toolbox talks. As the project develops, site-specific health and safety risks are identified and mitigated. Health, safety, and environmental risks and precautionary measures are documented in risk assessments and method statements. Risk assessment should not be a bureaucratic exercise, but should focus on the identification, elimination, and management of risks. Identify the hazards, decide who might be harmed and how, evaluate the risks and decide on precautions, record significant findings, review the assessment, and update if necessary. Site induction must be arranged for the project crew to ensure that crew members on site are fully informed about the organization and operation of the site and their responsibilities. Risk assessments and method statements can be used for briefing the crew and collecting their views. All project crew members, including subcontractors, must sign the safety induction form to confirm their cooperation and commitment to the safe operations of the site. Regular site safety inspections must be conducted to ensure the compliance of project operations with safety documentation and to identify and correct hazards. Daily site safety reports and weekly site safety checklists can be used as templates for this purpose. Accidents or near-miss incidents must be reported to the client and the HR using the accident report form. Permits must be issued and enforced in locations where there are potential hazards to the health, safety, and environment of workers, the public, or the surrounding ecosystem. The permit to work can be used as a template for this purpose. These permits are put in place to ensure that specific safety and environmental precautions are taken before certain activities are undertaken. Specific site safety issues may be highlighted and addressed through informal and short toolbox talks. The toolbox talk attendance form can be used as a template. These talks should provide instructions, information, and continuous training to help prevent accidents, ill health, and environmental damage. Manage build. The project manager is responsible for initiating and managing site build activities. This includes managing project teams and resources on site, managing procurement and deliveries to the site, and managing project expenses, including petty cash requirements. The project manager briefs the project teams and ensures that team members are clearly aware of their responsibilities and the expectation to follow the planned build schedule. The project manager also ensures that tasks are clearly allocated and assigned, and that the necessary resources are arranged and made available as required. For project-related procurements, the project manager captures all procurement requirements, coordinates with the operations administrator to prepare purchase requests, and submits them to the procurement manager for processing. For all project-related plant and crew requirements, the project manager requests the operations planner for the allocation of these resources. The operations planner communicates the status of the allocation of these resources to the project manager through the daily plan document. The project manager controls and monitors all deliveries to the site from the warehouse or from suppliers to ensure that the delivered items are correctly used and safely stored if needed. In the case of deliveries or services from external suppliers, the project manager must ensure that the supplier is provided with an acknowledgement of their completion of goods or service delivery. Project managers are provided with a delivery note stamp to acknowledge the supplier's delivery note or service completion certificates. These acknowledgements are essential for ARENA's finance team to process supplier invoices for the goods or services delivered. The project manager must ensure that the goods are received and inspected. The supplier delivery notes are shared with the operations administrator, who will prepare the goods receipt note in the ERP. Goods receipt notes are an essential requirement for the finance team to process supplier invoices. As the custodian of the project petty cash, the the project manager should ensure that petty cash-related expenses comply with the petty cash guidelines outlined in the petty cash management procedure. Non-compliant expenses may be recovered from the custodian. Requests for petty cash replenishment can be submitted once the petty cash fund is at 20% or lower. The project manager prepares the petty cash replenishment form, obtains approval from the head of operations or projects, and submits it to the accounts payable accountant for replenishment. Manage claims. Per diems and other expenses can be claimed in accordance with the guidelines outlined in the Arena HR manual. The current workflow for claiming per diems and expenses is illustrated in the figure titled Per diems and expense claim workflow. Expense claim forms must be utilized for claiming per diems and expenses, with one form required for each employee instead of using a single form for the entire department. Per diem claims cannot be dated in the future and may only be claimed for the days owed. Each month, employees can claim per diems from the 11th of the current month to the 10th of the following month. Freelancers are required to submit their invoices to the operations administrator before the 1st of each month. The workflow for the submission and approval of freelancer invoices is detailed in the figure titled Freelancer Invoice Submission Workflow. Control project execution. The PM is responsible for ensuring that the project is completed within the agreed schedule and delivered within the planned budget and quality specifications. The PM conducts regular status review meetings with the project team members to ensure that project execution is following the planned timeline. In case the project is not progressing as planned, the head of operations or projects and the account manager are informed and consulted for any resolution. If additional resources are required, the PM requests the procurement or operations planner for allocation of the resources. If there is a cost implication, approval from the regional CEO may be required for the additional spending. The PM regularly inspects and verifies the quality of the installation to ensure that the works are carried out in compliance with the structural and manufacturer specifications. All structures must be inspected and signed off by the structural engineer. The PM arranges for these structural and design inspections of the installation. Any comments about quality corrections arising from such inspections are communicated to the team and included in the build. The PM is responsible for ensuring that the project is delivered within the planned budget. The PM monitors and controls all related project expenses and project financial risks. The PM regularly reviews the project cash flow statement with the quantity surveyor and communicates the cash flow status to the finance and procurement team. Any project-related overspend must be approved by the regional CEO following the guidelines in Arena's Delegation of Authority Matrix. Process variation requests. The PM supports the account manager and the quantity surveyor in assessing the feasibility and the potential impact of the variations on the build schedule, scope, and budget. Variations are included in the build only once the PM receives an approved variations document from the account manager. The PM updates the build schedule and other relevant documentation, communicates the changes required to the team, and coordinates the implementation of the required changes in the build. Inspect and correct snags. Once the agreed scope of work is completed, the PM conducts a walkaround of the installation works with the client. If required, the PM requests the support of the account manager for conducting these inspections with the client. Snags are identified and captured in the snagging list, including any client remarks. The PM shares the snagging list with the team and coordinates with the relevant team to fix the identified snags. Support handover to client. Once snagging is completed, the PM aligns with the account manager to brief the client and hands over the site to the client for the execution of the event. The PM prepares a handover form and gets the client's signature acknowledging the handover. If support is required during the event, the PM informs the operations planner to allocate the required crew. Allocated crews are briefed and assigned to provide the required event support. Planned site dismantling. Once the dismantling dates are confirmed by the client, the PM prepares a dismantling schedule. The schedule is agreed with the client and shared with the project team. All requirements for plant and crew are requested from the operations planner for allocation. Other purchase requirements must be requested following Arena's procurement procedures through a purchase request to the procurement team. The PM aligns with the warehouse manager to plan the kit return. Transportation required for the return is estimated and arranged by the warehouse manager. Purchases made with petty cash must comply with the guidelines furnished in the petty cash procedure. Conduct pre-dismantling inspection. The PM conducts a walk-around with the client to inspect any damages to rental inventories and hands back the build post-event to Arena. A damages or missing report is prepared, and a client sign-off is obtained. The signed damages or missing report is issued to the accounts manager. Dismantle and clear site. The PM coordinates the various project teams and resources on site based on the dismantling schedule to dismantle and clear the site. The PM aligns with the finance team to declare the project closing date. The PM coordinates with the logistics supervisor, who oversees coordinating deliveries to and from the site, to control the loading of inventories onto the trucks. Once the site is clear, the PM returns the site to the client. The PM prepares and obtains the client's sign-off on the site handback report. Client-acknowledged forms are shared with the finance manager to confirm completion of site activities. Support project closeout. Once the project closing date is declared by the finance team, the PM ensures that the project petty cash fund is closed, supports the procurement team in closing all purchase-related issues, and aids the estimation team in reporting the project's financial performance. The PM submits the approved petty cash replenishment form and receipts along with the request to close the fund to the accounts payable accountant. Support project closeout. The PM supports the procurement team, operations planner, and warehouse manager in addressing and closing any project-related purchase and supplier issues related to ordering and invoicing. For the processing of supplier invoices, Arena's finance team requires that goods received are acknowledged in the ERP. For goods and services delivered to the site, the PM must ensure that the supplier's delivery note or service completed certificate are captured in the ERP. Report lessons learned. The project manager reports any lessons learned from the project to the accounts manager. This can include any insights or recommendations that can help improve project management, cost control, or procurement processes for future projects. These outputs are used by the management to evaluate the performance of the project and capture recommendations on best practices or lessons learned to be adopted for future projects. RACI Matrix. A RACI matrix is a tool that clarifies roles and responsibilities in a project by designating who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for each task. Please take some time to study this matrix for a clear understanding of team roles. Please review this RACI matrix carefully. Related documents and references. Here are a list of the documents referenced in this lesson.